a little bit of an intro. Oh, oh. So we'll do a little bit of an intro, we'll do a little bit of teaching, and then I'd love you all to introduce yourselves. We have a small group, and what I want to know, I'll come to that in a minute. And then what we're going to do is we'll workshop some things, and then about 11:15, we'll have a 5-minute break to go toilet and get a drink of water. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of breakouts. So we'll jump into groups of two, and perhaps some two groups of three. And we could do some brainstorming. Yeah, so it's going to be a really fun thing, and it's not going to be really laborious, I promise. So I'll pin myself and we'll make a start. So the team have called this one Into Action, but I think the subtitle was really helpful as well, or the whatever you call it, the headline, the subheadline, whatever. Create a business process as strong as your creative practice. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, everyone, because it's kind of hard to read when I just use my magic. Oh, actually, no, sorry, Jude, actually. Sorry, everybody. Let's do it this way. And create a business process as strong as your creative practice. So what does that mean? Let me just use my magic buttons. Whoa, hang on, too far. Okay. That was me. Really, what I want you all to take away from today's workshop is that, in my experience, having a business process is so important for you all as creatives. And I think what I found for me is I always used to kind of shy away from that, and I really had put like business on one side of the fence and creativity on the other. And I didn't see how the two kind of correlated or how the two work together. But learning about it more and understanding why it's important, how it's important, what's important to focus on has really, I know, helped me in my business and helped me in my creative career. So yeah, that's what I want to share with you today. There's going to be a four. Sorry if you hear my daughter screaming. I hope she quietens down soon. There'll be 4 kind of big ideas we want to cover. There's going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to cover, but I just want you to think about, okay, like there's a lot of stuff you're going to learn. If you can walk away with just 1 or 2 really great ideas and use them in your business, that is really the goal of this, because we're going to be talking on high level with kind of bigger concepts, and then we'll try and get more, I guess, kind of granular with you, because each of you has a different creative pursuit. So I want to make it relevant to everybody. So create a business process as strong as your creative practice. I love Bob Ross, and every time I see his face, it makes me smile. So that's why he is on the front cover. If you know Bob Ross, The Joy of Painting, he's an amazing man. And he's
Bob Ross too.
He's beautiful, eh, mate? So
Wonderful.
unfortunately, you haven't got Bob Ross, but hopefully I can try and imbue some of the Bob Ross in me. So I'm Hayden. Just really briefly, so you understand who I am. I've been an artist and a painter and an illustrator for about 12 years now. I mainly work with acrylics. I'm moving to oils. I do anyway. That I'm an artist, and I've been a freelance artist doing commercial work, and I'm selling my own work for about 12 years. But my day job that whole time has been as a business coach and a consultant and a sales trainer in my family business. So I've been doing sales and business stuff in my day, and then I go home and do my art and my creative work at night. So I think I'm going to give you all a really amazing workshop and give you something really practical. It's going to be challenging, as Jude said, but I hope you kind of take away some really good ideas from it. So we're going to be covering off 4 key areas today: productivity, cash flow, finding clients, and pricing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff we can cover, and we can make this a workshop what you need it to be. But this is where really the core of what we're going to cover off today. Sorry, my daughter's just coming. Darling, I'm just in a meeting. Can you go back inside? Sorry, team. I'm going to have to. Sorry, just 2 seconds.
The challenges of working from home.
Yeah.
Doesn't like being told off, but I'm sorry, everybody. We're going to be covering off 4 key areas today: productivity, cash flow, finding clients, and pricing. But I want to make this really useful for you all. So what I love to do is not talk at you for a whole hour and you go, Hayden, be quiet. I'd love to know from each of you, if you'd be open to this, sharing with me in the group, who are you? And we'll spend about 5 or 10 minutes on this max. Who are you? Why do you love and what you do? And what's one thing you want to get out of today's workshop? Is that okay for everyone here?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, team. While you think on that, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to close my door. Sorry, Jude, but this everywhere. Sorry, it is actually nice when they come in sometimes, but not when you're in a workshop. So
I was going to say they are gorgeous.
yeah, they're just a pain in the bum. We'll go alphabetically. Kate, if you don't mind, I'm sharing first. Who are you? What do you do? And what's one thing you want to get out of today's workshop, please?
Hi, I'm Kate. I make clothing, and I've been kind of working on trying to build a clothing label for a few years now. So I'm really keen to kind of get, it's like, for me, it's finding clients and kind of communicating to the right people. And as you say, getting the balance between the creative and the business side, because they both kind of fuel each other. So it's getting the right kind of communication to find the right client. And just getting the balance right.
Perfect. Thanks, Kate. And yeah, like for your context, we'll be uncovering aspects of marketing and sales and a little bit of branding today, client and communication as well. And also for everybody here, like, and this is a lot of the stuff that we can go into in depth with your mentor, whoever you get as well. So awesome. Thank you, Kate. Who is next? We got Kate, we got Catherine. Who are you and what do you do? What do you want to get out today, please?
Hi, I'm Catherine. I have got a commercial background in foods marketing, and I've just completed over a 10-year period while raising small children, a fine arts degree. So I'm looking at trying to marry the two together and do the next chapter of my life as my kids are a little bit more independent now.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really trying to carve out time and do the creative stuff and then put it against the framework of how I earn an income with that in the business side and the arts sector. Yeah.
And that's actually a really nice combo, because if you understand kind of marketing, then that's going to give you a leg up,
Yeah.
It's really cool. Thanks, Catherine. Janet, who are you and what do you do and what do you want to get out of today's session, please?
I make things and grow things. So I sort of say it's natural and nature inspired decor. So I make wall art using things like driftwood and natural fibers, and air plants and lights, because I think lights make everything better.
I agree.
And I grow bonsai trees.
Awesome.
And one of the things is that I've been thinking about this anyway, and this is, I feel, a good place to stick it together. I've been thinking about, particularly with the wall art, is the pricing, finding clients equation.
Yep.
Where I think my pricing doesn't target people who are going to buy wall art.
Yep. No, that's actually a really good point, and I think it's knowing who your market is something that we will try and touch on today, and I'm knowing the type of person who wants to buy your art, or who's know, it's so important. So hopefully we can uncover some of that today. Thanks, Janet. Thank you. Okay, we've got Janet, we got Maria. Hello, is that one of your paintings behind you? Oh, I still muted, sorry. I still muted, Maria.
Sorry.
Cool.
Technical, I'm not very good with all the technical stuff, but yeah, I'm actually in a gallery today at 250 Ponsonby Road, so I'm kind of manning the gallery. So I will, I don't know, can I turn it around? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. You can maybe see like this.
Oh wow, nice space.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But there might be people coming in, so then I will just have to mute you guys and leave every now and again. But I'm thinking it looks like it's being recorded, so I can come back. But yeah, how to get more sales, would be good. And what else? I'm not really sure. What
Okay.
else was that I was going to say?
Oh, what do you do? What do you do? I'd just love to know what you do briefly.
Okay, so I do. I am a support worker for one who's got Huntington's disease, and then so I work part time with her, and then the rest of the time I'm trying to concentrate on my art. So I've just stopped being an early childhood teacher, which is actually my original education, but I've stopped that to try and concentrate more on my art. So I do sculptures, and then I do acrylic abstract paintings.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, Maria.
No
Okay,
worries.
we'll go Roberta and then Stephen, and then we'll jump into this. So Roberta, who are you and what do you do, and what's one thing you want to get out of today's workshop, please?
My artistic name is Robbie Carvalho, and
Just got funding.
I'm a visual artist. I'm from Brazil. I arrived in New Zealand almost 5 years ago. And I'm an architect, but since I arrived here, I started to work with my art full time. I'm trying to do that. It's not easy, but I think Wayfind is so good to structure my plan, my goals, and it's been so important to be with this team. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, awesome. I'm glad you're here, and it sounds like for most of you, you're artists and you're selling to people. So what I'll try and do is I'll try and kind of tailor that to selling to consumers rather than businesses, but it'll all be irrelevant. So thank you, Roberta. Stephen, who are you? What do you do? And what do you want to get out today, please?
I'm a cartoonist and illustrator mostly. I'm Stephen.
Awesome.
Cartoonist and illustrator mostly, but I also do, as part of the illustration, I also do quite a bit of writing, that go together with the illustrations. And I do teaching as well, teach a bit of art, and I do a lot of music on the side.
Yeah.
I'd like to develop that more. So in a funny way, like all of the things that I do, they work together, and I like the balance of them.
Yep.
I'd like to be able to make them more professionally structured, as far as making a living goes. But on the other hand, I'm not really unhappy with the balance at the moment. With the cartooning, like I've done it for a long time, and with the cartooning, there is a sort of a shrinking pool of publishers. It's just how it is. So yeah, I mostly sell to magazines and newspapers and stuff like that, and publishers rather than the public. But I do like the idea of selling work to the public, and I've done that in the past. So yeah, I'd like to just have a general look at everything, I suppose.
That's
how
actually
best things.
And I think that's actually kind of really helpful, because if you're selling to magazines and publishers, then hopefully I'll be able to kind of tailor something for that as well. Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
and I love your space, by the way. That painting behind you is really nice. The the three faces right behind you. Oh
yeah, that's like really old from, those business portraits they used to have in the paper.
Nah.
Oh, they used to have these in the business section. They always used to have these little sort of head and shoulders of, and there were just these three guys from some insurance company. I painted them.
That's really cool.
So that's them.
Really nice. Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Oh, thanks everyone. I'm going to make a start, and I want to get into this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute you all. I don't know if there's a mute all button. I think that might be on your end, Jude, but that's okay. If you're really quiet, I won't have to mute you. Oh, wrong screen. Hang on a sec. What do we need? We need this one. And I just want to check this before I go on. That comes up there. Okay, cool. So we're going to be talking on high level. I'm going to try and make this super interactive. One idea I want to start with is that this is one of the most useful ideas that has helped me in business, is that what you do now or you don't do now will compound. And I think one of the things we're going to talk about is making sure that you take the time in your day and in your business to actually reflect on what you've done. Because I know that when I work with creatives, there can be some tendency, and I've been the same, of course, to go, well, it's not giving me an instant response, or I'm doing this outreach, or I'm doing this work and no one's buying it yet, or no one's liking my stuff yet, or whatever. And we think, well, it's just not working. What I found is that what you do now will compound over time. So the small things you do now, which could be setting up an Instagram profile, or promoting your work, or reaching out to a publisher, a new publisher, or going to exhibitions regularly, if you want to get into galleries, for example, or networking. Sometimes we don't get an immediate result, and we go, well, that doesn't work. That's just a whole bunch of crap. This stuff, that we're going to cover, will work and will help you a lot. And anything you do in life and business will compound over time. The thing that I've found really kind of useful to understand is that if you focus on the process of what you're doing, and this could be, well, I really want to make more sales in my business. I want to sell more clothes. I want to sell more of my wall art. And we go, well, I'm not getting that result yet. If we just focus on making good work and are consistent with our promotion of that work, for example, things will happen. So if we focus on the process instead of focusing on the end result, that's all going to help us a lot. But I've found in business, because when I first started doing picture, can you make sure everyone's muted, please, Jude? Thank you. When I first started doing picture, nobody knew who I was. Nobody was liking my stuff. I had no authority. I started from scratch, and that's where we all start in our creative businesses. The idea that helped me was delayed gratification. Put the work in now, and you'll see a result. But if you don't put the work in now, you won't see a result in the future. So you've come along today, you've shown up, you've joined the Wayfind program. What's amazing about that is that you've taken that step to invest in time in yourselves, and I think that's a huge thing. So all I'm saying is take away these ideas, work out one or two that works for you, and implement them, and I know you'll see a result. So that's my big idea, because I know people go, it hasn't started working yet. Well, it's yet, right? First thing I want to talk about is time management. I'm going to give you some concepts that'll be helpful for you, that I know have helped me in my business. The first thing is, which you'll cover with your mentors, having a consistent practice in your when you're actually kind of creating the work is important. And if you're doing that already, that's great. But what I find is that most people I talk to and work with in the Wayfind program and in my business, they love doing the work, but everything else they put off, or they don't want to do it. If it's creating content, if it's doing outreach to prospects and clients, if it's promoting their work, if it's going to events, if it's sales and stuff like that, they don't want to do it because it doesn't feel natural. And we all say, well, I'd rather be creating. I want to give you some principles and ideas that hopefully will help you with that. Because I've found that business and marketing and sales and all those things that we're going to cover is an art form in and of itself. And if you can master it and understand it, then you can find some enjoyment, which I found coming from someone who thought, well, that's really boring, I don't want to do that, right? First idea, and this is a real simple one. If you've got something that you need to do in the day, and it could be, hey, I just want to get up and paint. I just want to get up and make them first thing, but I know I've got to put together that proposal, or submit that thing for funding, or do some outreach on Instagram, or do some content creation, or ask someone to pay me some money. I found for me that one of the most simple business principles is do the hardest thing first in the morning. So when I come into work in the morning, or if you're starting your day in the studio, your first thing might be to check your emails, or your first thing might be to start painting, because that's when your kind of creative time is. And you go, well, that's when I'm most creative. I'll do that work first, and then I'll come back and do that hard thing, which could be something businessy. I found for me doing this hard thing first, and I don't know if you've experienced this, I'd love a show of hands if you have, doing that first thing, that shitty, annoying thing you have to do in the morning first, gives you that boost, and you go, now I don't have to worry about it anymore. I've been in business for a long time now, and I found that that is one of the best, most simple things you can implement in your day to make it easier. So yeah, I want to move on from that. This is something I find really, really helpful, and I'm going to show you what it means. Three key things and 3 hats. Jude, I think you still have that worksheet that I give the group. But when we're talking about productivity and when we're talking about managing our time correctly, I know a lot of us would love to spend most of our time wearing our beret. That's a beret. And what I mean by that is that's your creative hat. When you're in business, you have to wear a few different hats. You know, you have to be the creative. You have to be the person who deals with the clients. You have to be the person who sends the invoices, who gets the invoices, who gets paid, who chases the money, all that stuff. Most of us would love to be wearing that beret all day, or have a beard like Bob Ross. What I found useful is that in order to have a successful business in any field, and creativity included, you have to think about what are the hats I need to wear in my business. So when I'm looking at my week or looking at my day, I like to think about 3 hats. So the first one would be my creative hat. And this is the time that I want to go, well, this is my time to create, to make, to be inspired, to do the doing, as they say. So this is the first place where we start. Problem is, most of us spend all our time in this area, and we don't look at the other parts of our business. So the second most important hat, and probably equally as important, is, as they say in the US. Now here, I can never spell this on command. Hang on, let me just concentrate for a second. Entrepreneurial hat. So the second hat, if you're looking at your week and going, what should I be doing this week? I know I should be doing something, and I want to have a balanced week. Your entrepreneurial hat, and let's just say that's a top hat. If we're thinking about Monopoly, it's a top hat. So when you're thinking about your week, you need to think about, what are all the jobs I can put under that bracket? And a simple exercise you can do, by the way, is just pull out a piece of paper and split it into 3 columns and go, here's my week. What am I doing creatively? What am I doing to grow my business, which is the entrepreneurial hat? And we can, I'm talking about some of those activities in a minute. And lastly, so this is entrepreneurial hat, this is growth. I don't have a better name for this, but just to say this is your admin hat. Now, I think people, what kind of hat? What's the most boring hat in the world? I can't have any ideas for it. Let's just say it's a fisherman's cap. Most of us fall into that trap of going, well, I've got 2 parts to my business. I've got creative, and then I've got business. But I find it really useful to break this down into 3 parts, because stuff you have to do administrative wise, or administrative tasks you have to do, are generally not as important as the entrepreneurial tasks you have to do, which would be sales, which would be marketing, which would be networking, which would be anything kind of strategic. So perhaps working on your delivery, or working on your client process with clients, for example, creating content. And then, of course, over here, we've got the guy in their fisherman's hat, and this is your invoicing, this is your tax returns, this is your reconciliations. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Thanks, Val. This is your reconciliations. This isn't all the stuff that you have to do to keep the business rolling, but isn't technically as important as this. Yes, it still has to happen, but if you're going to prioritize something, these ones will be equal in my experience. And this would be something that you could potentially outsource eventually, right? Is this making sense, everyone? I hope this is all making sense. This is just a way to think about how can I organize my week. So if you were to use this practically, and by the way, what would kind of fall into this category, you know, these are all the things you can cover with your mentor. If you were to have a really productive, successful week, one thing you could do is exactly like I said here. On a Monday, you could go, okay, let's have a look at my week. When am I going to put time into my calendar for creative work? And this is what I mean. Like, a lot of us say, well, I don't want to be that rigid, or I don't want to be that organized. And that makes me too structured, and I can't have the freedom I want to paint when the mood takes me, or when the flow, when I have that creative flow happening. What I found is that actually having structure gives you more freedom, because you know that you're doing everything. And the stuff that you might neglect, which could be the entrepreneurial stuff, which is actually stuff that's going to help you find more customers, clients, and sell more work, and I get into more galleries and get more funding or whatever. We feel guilty when it doesn't get done. I know I do, and I go, I haven't done anything this week to actually look for new work or sell a painting. I've just been painting the whole week, and that's cool. But if we want something balanced so we can manage, on a Monday, I would just do 3 columns and go, what do I need to do this week? Creatively, entrepreneurial, you know, like growth, and when does the admin come in? I might cover some more of that later, but is that all making sense for you? I think it's a nice way to structure and just understand that there are 3 core parts to your business. Because when you think, there's a guy called Peter Drucker, and he's often quoted by designers like Marty and Neumeier and people like that, because here's this idea that the function of a business, and you are running a business at the end of the day if you want to make money from your artwork or your creative work. The function of a business is twofold, is to innovate and create great products or services or art or whatever it is. And the other side is to find more customers and people who would appreciate that and to share your work with. I've actually gone a little bit deep on this, but has this been useful so far, everyone? So we need to make equal time for that. What these activities are is going to be unique for you, and this is something, as I said, you're going with your mentor. But as a start, go, what do I need to do? Who's my end user? Who's my customer? Who's my client? Where are they most likely to be? Am I trying to get into galleries? Should I be going to networking events? Openings, and also networking with galleries online? Is it consumers? Should I be running ads or trying to get my products into shops, or getting people to promote them for me? Is it clients? Are they likely to be found on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, or what platform? How can I get in front of them easiest, sorry. So this is a really nice activity to do. If you were to do this and you wanted a part 2, would be 3 things. So I like to keep things simple. We wear 3 hats. Here's the beret, here's the top hat, Mr. Monopoly, and the last one is a boring, I actually like a fisherman's hat, but it's a fisherman's hat for the sake of this. That's your week. What are 3 things I can do today? Every day I start my day and go, what are 3 things I need to do today? I've got that project I need to finish for that client over there. I've got to do my outreach, and I've got to have a sales interview. What are the 3 most important things in your day? That keeps it simple for you. I hope that's making sense for you all. 3 things and 3 hats is the first big idea for you. Now let's move on. When you're thinking about your week, and I'm not going to go deep into this, one easy way to think about what's most important to focus on, because there's a lot of things you could be doing. And if your goal is to find more work or sell your work, there'll be thousands of people telling you different things to do. And you'll be going, well, what should I spend my time on? Or what's most important to spend time on? One thing is to say to yourself, what are my $25 an hour jobs? What are my $250 an hour jobs? And when you actually kind of, when your business is up and running, this is even more important, or when you're more established. If you are more established now, by the way, this is more important then. What are the tasks that only I can do, which could be creating the work, which could be meeting with clients, which could be putting together proposals and things like that. And what are the jobs that I could pay someone else to do if I had to? This is a really great prioritization tool, because then you can go, well, I could pay someone to do those, do my bookkeeping, to do that spreadsheet with my tax docs, to do all that stuff that's kind of like important but not integral for me to do. And I'm not saying you pay someone to do it, but if you make that list, then you'll know how to prioritize the jobs. And for you all here, I would say the biggest priority right now, without knowing all your inner workings, as it were, is to create great work and have a process around that, and make that happen every single week or every single day, depending on schedule, without fail, and keep improving your craft. Secondly, get in front of as many people as you can who can help you sell your work, who can buy your work from you. You know, I don't know how established you all are, but the big idea that I'm going to come on to soon is really kind of visibility. You know, you need to get more visibility, get seen in the market. So if you're thinking about what should I do first, just think, what could I pay someone else to do this? What could I pay someone else to do? What do I have to do myself? Having some of my smoothie, excuse me. This concept really helped me, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this, because this is a heap of fun. Bookending is a really nice way to run your business. It's a really nice way to manage your time. And it's especially important for us, because for most of us, we're working in a silo, as it were. We're working by ourselves. So I'm just going to get a small smoothie. Excuse me. And we need to be our own boss. And accountability is hard sometimes, unless you're like that crazy person that just work, and you're a self-starter. A lot of us, accountability is a challenge. I find one of the most important time management and productivity tools I have is this idea called bookending. Has anyone heard of that idea? Well, I'm bookending your day. That's cool. Even if you have, that's totally cool. It might be a nice reminder. Or if you do it, big ups. You get a thumbs up from me. That's supposed to be a thumb, see? I'm not good at drawing on the fly. Perhaps you could help me with that, Stephen. I need the draft first, you know. Anyway, what I do, and this is a good practice to have in your life, 100%. This has changed my life. What we're talking about here is creating new circuits in your brain and making new connections in your brain. So if you start every week, and you know there's a lot of ways to do this. We have a guide that Jude will send you after this, which is one of my guides, but I'm happy to kind of share that with you if you want to use that. We start the week with 3 hats. On a Monday, what are the 3 in the 3 areas of my business? What am I going to get done today? When's that going to happen? Daily, in the morning, you could say to yourself, what are the 3 big rocks? Is this idea that they used to teach in sales, which was, I'm not going to get into that idea. That's actually probably not a super, it's a cool story, but I'll save it for next time. When I say a big rock, is you want to get like the things down for the day that are going to have the most impact in your business, right? Because if you don't lay out what those rocks are, you find your day gets filled up with sand and pebbles. And this is the old story. I think it was Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar, one of the old sales guys, used to teach, which was, if you don't set up in the morning what your big rocks are, or set up what your big rocks are for the week, your big jobs that are going to have the most impact on you, then your week and your days gets filled up with sand and pebbles, which is phone calls, which is having a break, having a sleep on the couch. You know, I'm all for having a sleep on the couch, but you know, like, it gets filled up with crap that's not going to have a big impact on you. And if you want to keep on growing your business and you want to reach more people and help more people, we have to go, what are the 3 big rocks for the week? I do that the week here and then in the day. This is the morning, but what I like to do is I like to finish off my day the same way. And you can do this, you can keep it simple, but what I do is I ask myself, what did I achieve today? What are 3 things I did to move things forward for me, to improve things for my family, to improve myself as a creative, to get my work in front of new eyes and a new audience? What are 3 things I did today? Could be I spent 2 hours on that new oil painting I'm working on. I reached out to an old colleague who could give me some work. They don't have to be huge, but if we do this, if we do 3 things I did today, and you can stop there if you want, or you can go, what's one thing I learned today, or one thing I want to improve upon? So it might have been a bad experience you had, it might have been a good thing that worked, you want to do more of it. And what's the core things for tomorrow? So it could be one thing for tomorrow. Now these are all really, really, really cool ideas, and the reason that they work is really there's a lot of good reasons to do this. Number one is you often aren't going to get a lot of feedback in your business or as much as you'd like, and you haven't got a boss saying, hey Hayden, you have to do that work, hey Janet, hey Roberta, hey Maria, you have to do that work now. It's just you, unless you're kind of a partner or someone else you work with, right? So you have to hold yourself accountable. And the other thing is, you'll feel like you're not making progress some of the time, and you'll feel like weeks have passed and I haven't got jack bugger all done, or nothing's happened. But if we do this one thing every single day, it retrains your brain to look for the positive things that you've done, and it helps you to see, well, I actually have got stuff done. And you can do this on your phone, you can do it on the guide that I'll give you, whatever you want to do, but it'll show you that you're making progress, and it'll retrain your brain to look for things that are positive in your day. How does that sound, everyone? Does that sound okay? So those are 3 big ideas for productivity and time management, which, I used to think was the most boring subject in the world, truth be told, but it's cool. I like it now. So we got 3 hats. That's the first big idea. Break things into 3s. 3 rocks. Second idea is, if you are unsure what to do, just think, what can I pay someone else to do for me? What's going to have the biggest impact on my business now and in the future? Excuse me. And the last idea I had was on bookending. And that's stopping to reflect and going, what worked, what didn't work? Because remember, when you're learning something, and you should be learning every day in business, you should be learning and growing. The person you are now, and this is not a motivational speech, although it kind of is. Everyone thinks I'm a motivational speaker for some reason. I don't know why. So the person you are now is not going to be who you are in 2 years or 3 years time, And this is why we stop and reflect. And this is why we understand that the work we do today will compound. The other thing is, if we stop and reflect, and I want you to do this just a moment for me, then we learn things faster, and we really take them in, because you learn something and you hear something that's a cool idea, but it takes you stopping to process it and think about it critically and go, how could that work in the context of my life, to actually get that to sink in. So with that thought in mind, we've been doing really good. I'd love to know from everybody here, if you could, take a quick pause. I'd love you to put into the chat, what was your best idea from from the first part of the session? It doesn't have to be an idea I shared with you, but it could be something that it reminded you of, or an insight you have in your business. If we just take 2 minutes, and please type in the chat just a simple idea you had, or an insight, or something that you liked about today's session so far, about when it comes to time management. My wife's got the music. I was going to put some nice sounds on, but I won't take it from her because, got to share sometimes. So 2 minutes, everybody. What's your best idea? Into the chat, please. And then we'll move on. Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Catherine. That's a really great point. You know, like a great analogy around that, and, you know, kind of love him or hate him, like, you know, I follow Conor McGregor. I'm the UFC fighter. And the reason I like him, even though he's a bit crazy and he's a bit arrogant and he's a little bit dubious, is that, you know, he's a multi-millionaire now. But he's been working at that for a long time. And the story with him is, is that he would turn up to train every single day at his gym in Dublin, practice for years and years. And he focused on getting better every day. And then he got his shot in the UFC, got the 2 bouts, he had all that success. But his thing was that he said, I didn't kind of focus on getting into the UFC. I focused on getting better at what I do and kind of focusing on my process. So from all of us here, all we can kind of focus on is our process, our day-to-day stuff. And if we can do that, then the end result will appear, it will happen. But even if it doesn't, we'll still see the growth that we want, and we'll still enjoy our life because we've spent it enjoying the process and not going, I wish I was over here. So that's a cool analogy I like. I'm just going to briefly kind of read through these. Thank you, Janet. So the hats, I think it's a really good idea too. Jamie, Jamie Lee, structuring the week. Yeah, 100%. And you have to put yourself first. And this is what I tell my clients. I say, look, if you've spent the whole week doing client work, this is a bit different if you're a creator like an artist. But if you're a service provider, you're doing creative work, I say to them, if you've spent your whole week working for clients and you haven't done work on your business or on yourself, then that's being selfish to you. So remember to make that time for yourself. Thank you, Jamie Lee. Stephen, yeah, I like that too. It's a really nice idea. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And especially for you, you know, like who's your network of people you can work with, if that's editors or publishers or whoever that might be, you know, that could be as simple as, well, I've got a few of those people that I've worked with in the past. I want to have a contact and rhythm with them. So I'm touching base with them every so often. I'm looking for new places to have my work, you know. Yeah, I'll have a chat about that soon. Maria, different hats. Sharon, hats. Lucy, yeah, 100%. It's always a chore. It's always a chore at the start. And I've heard that 1,000 times. I don't like social media. What you got to see it as is it's a vehicle to market your business for free, pretty much free, you know. If it doesn't cost you anything apart from time and a little bit of effort. What it is a place to get your work in front of more people. And if you read Seth Godin, he talks about this, you know, like your job as a creator is to create work and to get it in front of people who can appreciate it. You know what I mean? So yes, I mean, if that's where your people are, you have to get over that and start to use it. But I understand that every single skill you can learn. It's just a matter of putting in the time, you know, like me, I'm presenting. I couldn't undo this 2 years ago, you know. It's so anyway. Kate, yes, hardest pit first. And Roberta, Notion, yeah. Notion's awesome. I like that. Team, we're going to move on. I want to spend about 15 minutes on cash flow. I know that the guys, Henry, probably will have covered that. I will cover that with you, or you do it with your mentors, and then we'll have a quick break about 11:15, and we'll come back, and I've got some really, really juicy stuff after that. So cash flow, I'm not going to tell you about managing your money because I think that's really helpful, but it's not my area of expertise. I just want to give you some high level concepts about why money is important and how it's important to manage it. Okay, first idea is, in my experience, yes, cash flow is cash is king. That's why they say that. The reason that they say that is because if you've got recurring bills going out, and you will have more of those as you grow as a business owner, you have to have the money to pay those bills. And saying, well, I've got $10,000 coming in December, and that would pay for my next 3 months worth of expenses, is all well and good if you've got a $10,000 credit card. But if you don't have money between now and December, you're screwed, right? The idea is that cash flow, when money comes into your bank account from selling your work, is important. So the first idea I want to share with you is, if you're selling to consumers or if you're selling to businesses, make sure that you set the payment terms. Make sure that you tell them how you want to work. A lot of time we feel weird about chasing money or asking people for money or getting money from a work we've done. If it's a commission, you know, you feel weird about them chasing money, and there's all this like weird air around it. And you go, well, should I chase them? They haven't paid it yet, or what do I do? One thing that I find really good, and I just had this situation just the other day. I had a client, and I've done a few jobs for him, and he's a pretty nice guy. And it's like, well, okay, I've done 2 jobs for him. He's paid me promptly. Perhaps I should just pay, invoice him after the job's done. But I told him at the very start, look, it's these are small jobs. I'm going to invoice you at the start, and as soon as that's paid, then we can start the job. Either way, if you tell the client, here's how I work, that sets you up as someone who knows what they're doing, someone who has a process. And I know a lot of designers and creatives I talk to, part of the value of how we sell our stuff is by the process. Even if you're a painter, you know, the process of creating the work and the thought behind it and the why behind it is all what we sell, right? So set the payment terms, let the client know, here's how I work. It's a 7-day payment, or you pay half up front and half at the end, or you pay them all up front for a small invoice. It's simply as saying, hey, it's awesome to start this job with you, Jude. Here's how I usually work. Here's the steps of my process with you. Here's how I'll invoice you. If that's cool with you, I'll send you an invoice for half an hour and a half after, or a third, or all up front. The thing is, if you don't set the payment terms, you have to be feeling awkward when the client doesn't pay. And if you don't set the terms of the arrangement, the client will. And if you're selling work to the consumer, then that's a bit different because they pay before they get it. But if you're doing commissions or if you're doing commercial work, it's even more important, because you need to know when that money's coming in. You need to know when that money's coming in. So that could be in terms of trade. That could be a statement of work that you share. Could be a contract, whatever it is for you. Set the expectation from the start. Now, this is a really cool idea, and I wanted to share with you a little cute little chicken just to kind of lighten the mood, because, you know, this stuff we're talking about, it can seem kind of dry, but it's not in a way. This is one of the most important ideas I want to share with you, because I've seen this so many times with clients, with people I talk to, with people who are thinking about and work with me, other designers I've worked with. I've been through it too. We get so busy sometimes that we don't make the time to look for new opportunities. We go, I'm so busy, man. I've just got all this work come in, and I'm sorted for the next month or 2 months, and I'm just going to head down, bum up, and that's it. But what I've learned in business is, if you do that, what can happen is you get this bell curve effect, and this is how we've always taught this. Are you trundling along? So I get a bigger pen for us. Are you trundling along, and you get this job, and you go, sweet, I got this awesome job, and you're busy, and you get all this money come in, and then you fulfill on that job, I guess that probably happens here. And then you go flat again, and you wait for the next job to come in, and you get the next job, and then it goes up and it goes down. This time here, you're not making any money because you're focused on a fulfillment. And you're going, well, and here's all the time, I'll make time to do sales and marketing and content and reach out and networking when I'm not so busy. The best time to do it is when you're busy, because when you're not busy, it's too late. And we know that people take time to know us. You know, if you're getting started, the customer in the market has to get to know you first. But even if you're established, you know, you might have one big client, and I've seen this a lot too. You have one big client and you lose them, and you haven't been doing any marketing, any promotion, anything, because you've been relying on that one big client, and they disappear, and you're stuffed, because that's your cash flow you're relying on. So the idea for all of you is to plant the seeds now. This is why we do the 3 hats. What are 1 or 2 or 3 things I could do to plant a seed? When I say a seed, what I mean is, what could I do to look for an opportunity? It could be as simple as, I sell artwork. I want to get it into a store or a gallery. Perhaps I could spend some time this week following those galleries, commenting on their posts, even just liking their posts, being a part of their world. Who's an old client I could reach out to? You know, how could I create a new opportunity for myself now before I need it? Because the worst time, as they say, the worst time to dig for water, it's supposed to be some water right there. And you know what I'm going to say here is when the well has run dry and there's no water, because then you need the water right away, right? The best time to look for work is now before you need it. This is why we prioritize our business, and this is why you need to prioritize your entrepreneurial hat in your business. So plant seeds now before you need it. And all of a sudden, that client you meet today who says, now is not the right time, or that person who can't afford you yet, or whatever, 3 months, 6 months time, they become a customer, you know, and that's what we call a pipeline. It's what we call a sales cycle. So big idea from that is just think, what's one small thing I could do every day? And the way that I think about it, which helps me, is I'm always on the lookout for new opportunities. I'm always looking to get in front of customers or people I could work with or sell to. My idea is, just imagine this is you. Actually, a lot of you are artists, so I'll draw an easel. Just imagine this is you and you're painting away. There we go. There's a bit of Bob Ross for you. You're painting away, and it's all of a sudden been 3 weeks, and you've created 3 beautiful paintings, or like 1 beautiful massive painting or whatever. I like to ask myself, what have I done today to get out from behind the easel or from behind my monitor and get out into the world? If you ask yourself that question every day, you can do something as simple as catching up with an old colleague, an old client, a friend from an agency, putting yourself out into the world. In other words, every day you should ask yourself, what seeds have I planted today? What have I done to get myself out in the world and in someone's face who I could help with? Map out your minimums. We have 2 more ideas, and then we're going to take a break. Map out your minimums. This is a really simple idea. You can do it in a spreadsheet. I do it in a spreadsheet still. I use Xero, which is great, or Henry. What are your minimums every month? What's your minimum amount of money that you need to make to break even? You know, if you're running a business, you might put your salary and then every single expense that you have. But for most of us, it could just be, what's my rent or my mortgage? What's my power bill? What's my shopping? What are my business costs? And then you can work out, well, I need to make exactly at least 4 or 5K per month, or 10K per month, or whatever it might be for you. If you have a minimum amount that you need to make, and that could just be all your expenses, then you know what break-even point is, and you have a goal, and that will reflect on your pricing, how much activity you do, a whole bunch of things, because you actually have a target. You know, if you know how much you need to make, does it make sense, everyone? If you know how much you need to make at its baseline, then you have a target. It's when we don't know what we need to make, or we don't have a goal we're reaching for. If you don't have something like that, then you don't know what to do, because you don't really have yardstick, right? And this is why when you do your goals in the Wayfind program, it's good to go, how can I measure when it's done? So for this idea with cash flow, make sure you know how much you need to make at least, and you go, everything else is profit on top of that. I have to pay a little bit of tax to the tax man, of course, but yeah, that's one really important idea. This is the last really big idea about cash flow. And as I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because the last term sections are going to be really chunky for us. What I'd love to know, no, actually, no, I'll come back to that. We can't control when the work comes in. So I said this was high level and I meant it, by the way. But I think the thing with this, and when I say high level, is that what I'm trying to do today is really kind of balance out with your practical, but also mindset, because if you can think in the right way about things, you can change how you see things, or you can change the lens by which you see something like business or outreach, or being a business person, entrepreneur, being a creative, that's sometimes more useful than something practical I could teach you. So the idea behind this is a really important one, in that we can't control the clients. All we can control is our activities. We can't control when a client is ready for us. Yes, we can market to them. We can make them offers to them. We can promote our work. We can get our work into galleries. We do a whole bunch of stuff like that. But we can't control when they have a project for us. And this is why things like cold outreach and cold DMing, cold calling kind of sucks, because it's a false idea. You know, people are like, well, if you just cold call someone, you'll be able to sell them, you'll be able to convince them to work with you. I know for most of you probably won't have to do that. For most of you, sorry. But our job is just to be out there in the market and look and find our audience. If you have an audience, that's great. You just have to be invisible and in their face. And it could be a smaller network of people who give you work, for example, for when they have a job. So you come front of mind when they go, I need an illustrator, I need a painter, I need a mural done, whatever. We can't control the clients, or we can control is our activity. So how that relates to cash flow, once again, it comes back to our three hats. What are the core activities that you're putting in your week to actually look for work? What are the seeds you're planting now to look for work before you need it, even if you're just getting started? If you're just getting started, it's all about being seen. If you're established, it's about staying in front of the people who know you and reaching out to them regularly, right? We can't control the clients. All we can control is our activities. So just remember, what you do today will mean you see growth next month, or in 6 months' time, or in a year. What you don't do today or you put off may become something you miss out on in the future. So you can't control the clients. All you can control is what you're doing in your week. Does that make sense, everybody? As I said, I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on cash flow, but I hope these ideas have got you thinking. Roberta, that's great too. You can do it per year and split it into 12 if you want. But I think it's important to understand how much you have to pay every month, so you know how much you need to make, So team, that was all cash flow. That was the shortest section of the workshop. What I want to do now is I would love to know your best idea or one question you had about cash flow or managing your money. I'd love to know that right now. So what was the best idea you had? Or have you got a question about the last section we just covered? I'll put 2 minutes on the clock. Please put that into the chat, and then we'll have a quick discussion about that. And then we'll finish up at 11:15 for a little break. So what was your best idea? Or did you have a question? Did that spur something in you that you wanted to ask about? You know what? I'm going to take the music from my wife, because I think she's just having a cruise in the car. So I'm going to take it because it's nice to have some music, right? Let me find something for us. What was your best idea or something that you got you thinking there, please? Go. Something nice and chilled. Go. Awesome. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, exactly, Kate. Awesome. Thanks, Lucy. Catherine, the idea which I really need to think about is pricing. I'm working from the ground up, or to Roberta's point, starting with a figure and pricing to achieve that target. We're going to be talking about that. Oh, thank you, Lucy. Yeah, this is actually, I usually listen to quite heavy music, but as I get older, I listen to more chilled. I want to be like heavy metal all the time, or, you know, death metal doesn't really work on a shop. So, do you have any app to recommend to control financial planning? Any Excel spreadsheets you can share? I've got a real basic one. It's not that exciting. I don't think it's really that useful to share. I think the guys, have we still got Henry doing a workshop too? Is that still happening? Yeah, so I would say chat to them about that if you haven't done that workshop already. That's more their area of expertise. I just use Xero for my invoices, reconciliation and stuff. But I know there are apps for, no, probably just ask those people, I'd say. Team, I would love to know who would like to unmute and share the best idea. If I say that timer again, sorry, I'm just going to stop the pointer system. Who would like to unmute would be super helpful. By the way, while someone's unmuting, anybody do it? The idea that I liked, which was something that Catherine said here, was if you do know your monthly minimum, you can go, well, okay, I need to work out my pricing around that to start with. And we're going to be covering pricing in a moment anyway, after the break. Was something I learned from my dad, because he's a sales trainer and business coach. He's been in business for years and he used to be a publican back in the day, was that it's much easier to sell 2 large things to hit your target than to sell 20 small things. Now, if you're selling a lot of small things, that's great. But your pricing shouldn't reflect that. If you want, say if you're a graphic designer and you wanted to make 4K a month, it would be easier to say, well, can I find 2 clients per month at 2K or even one at 4K, depending on your experience level for a brand identity job, than finding, how many is that? 8 small logo jobs at $500, because you've still got to do, you still have to find the clients, right? So it's easy to find them less than more. But I think having a minimum has a target, and you go, if I can make 5K a month, then I know everything's covered. And if I can do that for 3 months, then that's a good thing. I'm paying all my bills, and then I can start to work towards growing that. You know, the idea is if you've left a job as well, you know, how can you kind of replace your income first? That should be your first goal, and then grow from there. So I hope that was useful thought. Stephen, yeah, exactly. You can't control the clients. Yeah, big time. And hey, Stephen, would you mind sharing your idea, please? Because I like that one, because at the bottom there.
Unmute. Yes, my idea was that I can't control my clients. And because I work mostly with magazines and newspapers and that sort of stuff, I'm just a tiny part of the picture, and I'm remote. So they make decisions that are based around editorials or other stories, and I'm not really privy to that. And you get into relationships with them, and they're good long-term productive relationships, but that tends to stop you looking out for new stuff. So it would be best for me to spread my risk, really, I suppose, by having more clients, and it's an easy thing to shy away from, but it's a good thing to get out there and do. So I agree with what Hayden's saying on that. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's something I could definitely do better.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think for from all of us, it's kind of nurturing and caring for our client base. And that could be if you're a service provider, a small group of clients you work with or you contract to. If you're an artist, it could be kind of taking care of your buyers or whatnot. So yeah, we have to kind of spend some of our time nurturing and some of our time looking for new opportunities. Another idea that I find useful is if you do have a contact in a business, it's quite good to, if you can, make sure you have a relationship with them, but someone else in that business, if possible, just because if that person leaves, that can be that thing because they hired you and they move on. It's just a thought. But really, what Stephen said, and I think from everybody here, your job, if you had to have a mantra, as it were, would be visibility and relationships. The more people who know who you are, the more people will buy your stuff. People, you have to build up your reputation. You have to build up people knowing who you are and talking about you. And if you can create stronger relationships, that is the goal. That's what sales and growth and marketing is about. That's what life is about, right? So thank you, Steve, for sharing that. The thing is, one thing I would say, and we'll go to break in a minute, just from 5 minutes, get a drink of water and go toilet. Plant seeds now before you need them. Just like Lucy said, if you're kind of building up your portfolio and you've got at least some work to show, and I don't really kind of know the context of that yet, I think it's great that you're investing. If you can afford to and you're making some money in your business, you can afford to pay expenses. 100%, if you're making money that you don't need to use on expenses, put that into learning, into as much as you can to getting better at your craft or getting better at your business. I think that's a great idea. But look for the audience now, Lucy, if you have kind of work to share or if you have any kind of profile now, start to think about who are the people that I'd love to work with in the future. It can be simple as Instagram. I follow them on Instagram. I have a personal account for now, or you have a business account. They may not be ready for me now, but if I can hook up with that production company in Auckland or in Sydney or whatever, Wellington now, who knows what happens in the future. At least you have them in one place. Team, we're going to have a quick break now. I hope that was been useful so far. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to pin myself. I'm going to put that music back on for us. Back in 5 minutes, and we're gonna move on for some cool stuff. And we'll do some breakouts soon too. Oh, she's taking the music back. Okay, we're just gonna have silence. Okay, I'll see you all in a minute. 5 minutes. Let's go. Oh, Wayward. Yeah, I'll get them to share their best idea before we kind of move on because we've still got 50 minutes to cover, and then we could do some Q&A at the end maybe. They say it's best not to end on Q&A because then it's kind of lets the energy down, but it's cool. I can kind of bring it back up and tell a funny joke or something.
Sorry, I lied to you. There's actually 40 seconds remaining.
40 seconds.
Yeah, they obviously that other little note was about them getting the reminder that they were closing.
You can actually do this cool thing. I did this on Tuesday. You can broadcast your voice into the room. So I did it the other day. Everybody thought it was hilarious. Like just this, God voice came in. It's quite.
That would be a bit scary.
Yeah, they were frightened.
We do that with our dog. We've got a security cameras, but when she starts crying and complaining if we're not here, we can talk to her.
It's pretty cool. That's really helpful, eh?
It is. It freaks her out though. Poor thing.
Gotcha. You're looking around to find you,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Because God, why can't I hear myself? Why is that so bad? Sorry, I must mute myself.
Oh, we're gonna mute.
Hello.
The same thing, Hayden. Echoing going on. Don't know what's happening.
I don't know what the hell's. Can everyone mute themselves and we'll
Hayden's been muted too.
All right, is that better? Yeah, that's good. That's weird. Thanks everyone. It's always nice to see everybody coming back with a smiling face from these types of things, because they're always a bit of fun. I want to ask a couple of you to share what your best idea was from that session, and then we're going to talk about finding clients and pricing, and then we'll do some Q&A, because I'm aware that we're all doing different things and some stuff won't be as relevant to everybody, right? So I'm going to call a couple of you out and get you to share your best idea. I'm going to go, Catherine, what was your best idea from the breakout, or what did you like about that? It's a Catherine with a K, and you're muted, by the way.
Well, for me, because I'm starting at 0, it's slightly ahead of where I'm at. So it was more interesting to hear what Kate and Lucy were doing with theirs. So for me, I'm kind of working slightly behind. So I haven't even got to the stage of thinking about who I'm putting work out for. I've got to just focus on creating it, really.
Yeah. So have you got unfinished work to share yet, or are you still working on your first piece?
I've been slightly delayed with that this year with other
cool.
things. So yeah.
Yep, cool. And that's cool. I mean, there's kind of many ways to do it. You know, like you can share your finished work, you can share your journey. A lot of people are like, hey, you know, this is my journey to building a business. This is my journey to, and I'm not saying you do this, but it's a cool way to share if you did want to start. I'm sharing now, like, here's my journey to becoming a painter, for example. So there's heaps of ways to do it. Thanks, Catherine. Tristan, do you mind sharing what was your best idea or something you liked, please, mate? Oh, you're muted, by the way, sorry. Everybody's muted. You're too noisy.
Am I good? Are we
good?
good?
All good. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, basically I made a short film earlier this year and I was struggling trying to get eyeballs on it, and just trying to figure out a way to do that. One of the most obvious ways is networking, which is kind of what Wayfind is in a way. So Jamie actually suggested it. You know, I give the film to her and she could get in front of people, and it's like, oh, cool. So as simple as that kind of that connection. Now there's like an avenue that can be kind of explored. So really kind of that highlighted the importance of kind of connecting with people and networking, and yeah, and using their kind of resource.
Yeah, bro, hard out. And who do you want to see the short film? Is it, and I don't really know how that works. Is it a distributor? Who is it?
Well, so yeah, so my approach was to basically submit it to a couple of local film festivals.
Yes.
Yeah, it was rejected, but it was picked up by a couple of overseas film festivals. So it was really thinking about audience. What do I need to do to make it attractive at festivals locally? Is there something that I'm not doing, or something that I could do better? Is it a numbers game? So then it's like, well, can I get in front of people who can give me that feedback? When you submit and you get rejected, they don't give you feedback. They just say, thanks for coming. That's just kind of the reality. There's way too many submissions to give everyone feedback. So yeah, it's really just trying to get feedback from local film people, and using that for maybe my next short or even this one to try and get it in front of an audience. That would be really helpful.
Yeah. So I mean, there's heaps of ways to do that. You know, you can do it in person. You know, you can do it online. You know, with social media, it's amazing. I'm using a tool like, for instance, LinkedIn is great. Some industries are on there more than others, but you'll find people who are, you know, that run the organizations that you want or the businesses that you want on there. You know, this is where now I kind of think about it. It's kind of a bit like, in a way, not really kind of guerrilla marketing, but it's like, how can I get in front of someone in a smart way? Networking is one thing, but you know, it could be like, can I get their email? You know, can I be the one who takes that step that most would, and say, hey, can I find someone to reach out to directly and ask them to look at my work? There's lots of things you can try, all these things work in different contexts, but yeah, I think you're right. It is it's always the networking.
I think it's also like maybe important for the the curators or the people who are reviewing the films at the festivals to already know who you are before you submit, rather than just be this anonymous short film that just kind of gets lost in the noise. There's so many, because anyone can make a short film these days. Like the tools are there. It's not like before where it was quite prohibitive because it's so expensive to buy film stock, blah blah blah. So making those contacts, within the various festivals, so that they know who you are before you submit, I think that would be quite useful.
100%. And also having a platform like where can you promote your work and kind of build an audience? That's another thing as well. Like how can I, and that could be on a social media channel, it could be Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever. How can you kind of build an audience so people exactly know who you are, So that's a thought. One thing I will tell you, which is cool, is an old client of mine, Becky. She applied for this job, this really big job. I won't say what type of job was, with this agency who pairs creatives with startups. I think is what they do. And she missed out on the job. Didn't hear back from them. Oh no, she did. They said, "Oh, you didn't get the job." And I said to her, "Well, you don't have anything to lose. Why don't you email them back in and say, oh, would you better let me know like and why I didn't get this job, or why I wasn't right for this job right now?" And she emailed them and they said, "We just didn't think it was a right fit. We actually do love your work. And would you be interested in having a coffee and we'll catch up and talk about some future projects?" She got work from that. So I like your idea about asking for feedback. It's always good to ask your customers why they didn't choose you. Well,
I did actually ask the festivals for feedback, interestingly,
right.
And I got a kind of an email, kind of a curt email from the respective marketing departments.
That's so good.
Just saying, you're not getting feedback, buddy.
Well, you can always try. There's no harm in trying.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I was definitely going to try. It just didn't really go anywhere. So it was all good, but yeah, I think it's so it's finding people maybe before you get to that stage that can steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I mean, I kind of just think I'm going to make some masterpiece and it'll just get picked up because it's so awesome. But that's unfortunately not really. It's not the reality.
You got to make something first, right? Thanks, man. I'm going to ask one more person for an idea, and I'm just going to choose at random. Here we go. Lucy, do you mind sharing? And what was your best idea, please, from the breakout, please?
Best idea from the breakout. So I'm a filmmaker as well, and I've had a similar kind of thing where I've made this short film, and it's it's doing the festival thing, but the festival thing's hard. And so my idea was to potentially cut it up into just little clips, no spoilers or anything, but posting just small clips of the film on places like YouTube and Instagram, places like that, so that people don't have to go to the festivals to see it. People can just see what I'm making through my social medias, and in that way I can pick really cool little bits of the film that sort of show off what I think are the best bits, and then as I'm going forward looking for funding or work, even if it doesn't have a whole lot of laurels on it, they'll be able to see what I can pull off.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
that's such a good idea. That's such a good idea. I think it all comes back to getting people to notice you. For everybody here, I'm getting people to notice you. I'm getting in front of people, getting visible. So if you can do that in person by building your network in person, which I did for many years. I still do that now. But the beauty of using a platform like TikTok, Instagram, whatever channel, is you can build authority and build a platform for yourself where people are listening to you and care about you. You can build your following, people who like your work, they follow you. Then when I say a film, I don't know how it works in the film industry, but in a lot of cases, if someone can see that you've already got something going on and you've got a bit of momentum going, that can kind of play in your favor in most industries, right? So thank you, Lucy. That was a cool share. I want to come back to our feature presentation. Here we go. Finding clients. Now, each of you is going to have a very different target market. a platform to use, a type of customer, all that stuff. So I'm going to talk in broad terms, and what we'll do is we'll spend a little bit of time at the end from Q&A, and we'll do some workshopping together. But make sure you take in the big concepts as we go through as well, please. Who do you serve? Knowing who the end user is, and that sounds very like kind of robotic or whatever, but knowing who the person is that you need to serve and going, this is who I need to see my work or buy my work. Knowing who that person is so important. And at the start, you aren't really going to know if you're selling art or something like that. But if you're selling art, for example, you might say, well, who do I want to sell to? I don't know. I don't know who my customer is. They have to see my work and like it and have the money to buy it. So you might say, well, I don't really know who my customer is yet, so I can't specifically go out and look for them. But what you can say is, well, perhaps I would like to sell my work in a gallery, or perhaps I would like to get funding for my work, or perhaps I want people to see my work. So knowing who your customer is really, really important. But who's the person that's going to give you the opportunities is perhaps a better way to say it. So a way to think about that from all of you is, if you're B2C, which means you're selling direct to consumers, and let's say you're selling art or products, you know, part of your job is understanding who you're selling to. And you go, well, I'm not quite sure who my customer avatar is, which, if you don't know, is essentially like a bit of a frame of reference for who you sell to, who your customers are, right? It's their demographics, how old they are, where they live, how their interests and stuff, but also their psychographics and things like that. But for our purposes, you have to know who you want to work with. So if you're selling art, for example, a lot of the wayfinders I talk to and work with are selling their art. And they go, well, I can't, other than kind of running ads and seeing who engages with it, it's hard for me to know who I can target when it comes to promoting my work. So yes, you can run ads, but if you can't run ads, what you can control is, well, let's say I'm on Instagram, for example. This is the most obvious platform to talk about. I would love more gallery owners to see my work. So what's the simple thing I could do? I could Google all or follow all the good galleries in New Zealand I want to work with, all the galleries in Australia, all the galleries, you know, that I can think of that I would love to have my work in. And you might think, well, a lot of them out of my reach now. It doesn't matter, because we talk about relationships. Okay, knowing who your customer is important. Utilizing that and leveraging that in person and social media is important. So if you're B2C, who are the people that can influence my buyers? Who are the people that can get me in front of art buyers, or people who could invest in my work or buy my work or buy my products? You know, is that an influencer? Is that a gallery owner? Is that a person with a large following? Is it a person who promotes products? Is it a website like Spoonflower, for example? If you're a pattern designer, a lot of pattern designers will have their work on Spoonflower, and Spoonflower will then promote their work, right? So knowing who you want to work with is important if you're B2B. So if you're trying to sell to people who could distribute your work, sell your work, work with you as a contractor, like you, Stephen, for example, who are the people that you want to have in your network, but who are the people that you want to stay in regular contact with? Is it editors? Is it publishers? Is it agency owners if you're doing illustration, perhaps? You know, these people are the end user because they're the ones who are paying you for your service. So the more you know who you want to work with, the easier it's going to be for you. So one example of that would be if you would use that practically, just think now, who pays me for my work? Is it a consumer or is it a business? If it's a business, what are the types of business owner I should be connecting with, or at least engaging with, or having in my network, for example? or reaching out to. If it's a consumer and you're an artist perhaps, then you might say, well, what's my end goals? To get more funding? Is it to sell my work in galleries? Should I be connecting and reaching out to and engaging with gallery owners, for example, people from funding bodies, people from like Depot Art Space, for example. So if you don't know who your target market is, it's really hard to promote your work. Finding your audience will take time, but something we have to do. A lot of it can, and I'll come to that later. Visibility is key. Now, this is really important. If you take anything away from this, we need to know that whatever stage in business you're at, you need to start thinking about building relationships now. Most businesses take 2 years to get off the ground, like at least. If you're a real estate agent, I think it takes 2 or 3 years to actually start making money. So you got to slog through that, and it's really hard work. So if you don't do the work now, then it'll take you longer to get to the point where you're financially stable. So I found this a useful idea. Be seen and build relationships. How could you do that practically? Well, you could simply set yourself a weekly target. You could say, well, one of the things in my week that's important for me is to go out and promote myself and look for work. So how do I know if I'm actually going to do that? Well, I could say to myself, I could keep it super simple, and I could say that I could measure my outreach. I'm going to reach out and connect with at least 2 or 3 people each week who could give me work. It could be reaching out to a past client. It could be connecting or engaging with a publisher. It could be engaging with someone on LinkedIn, for example, who's a decision maker or who's into what you do. Who are 3 people, or even just measure, what am I doing to talk to people in my network each week? If you're doing content, that's even more important. How many pieces of content am I going to post each week? How many, if you want to get into galleries, I'm going to commit to going to 2 openings per month. See, what happens is we get busy and we just stop doing all this stuff and we forget about it. And yes, the work will do a lot of the work for you, and yes, this will happen organically. But if you wanted to make it move faster, you've got to think visibility is key. Like this caveman, I don't know why he's there, but the caveman says visibility is key. I need to get more people knowing about my stuff, because if nobody knows who you are, you have no platform, nobody's going to trust you, and it's going to be harder to take a chance on your work. Your job is to get more people knowing who you are and make that a regular thing. So it could be on a Monday or on a Friday, you reflect and go, how many conversations did I have this week with people who could help me? I had a coffee catch up with my old client or my old friend at that agency. I think there's something there. I emailed 2 people about this job. Measurement is important. Visibility is important. One thing that we used to always talk about is going, hey, I need to stay front of mind with my clients. That's important. That's really one big idea that will serve you well. We're going to 2 more topics, and then we're going to, actually, I'll save the Q&A to the end because there's a few things I want to cover. This goes without saying, consistent activity is important. That's why businesses grow, because they're consistent and they're not sporadic. You're consistent and you have a process to create your work, as you should, and that develops over time. You need to understand that consistent activities is what is going to create growth for you. And it really comes down to hard work and kind of measuring what you're doing. And this is why we talk about things like a bookending, about kind of measuring what you're doing in the week, about wearing the 3 hats. Because at the end of the day, if we do this stuff, but we don't do it consistently, it won't be as effective for us. And the people that are out there doing it and doing it and doing it, and they'll push ahead, right? So that's important. 2 more ideas, and we're going to talk about pricing, do some Q&A. Art is a business. We do it because we love it, 100%. I paint. I wouldn't care if I didn't sound. Well, I probably would care if I didn't sound like painting, but you know, like you do it anyway. I once had a friend. She came to my gallery. Studio, and she was like, "Oh, are you selling these paintings?" And I said, "Oh yeah, well yeah." And she's like, "Why are you painting them if you're not selling them?" And I was like, and she was an artist too, and she studied elam and all that. And I was like, "Well, I enjoy the process. I want to paint. I don't really care if someone buys them." And she was really shocked by that. Our end goal is not always to make money, but the thing about that is, if you make more money, you can create more opportunities. If you make more money and you take it seriously, you can buy more equipment. You can buy the bigger easel. You can buy the huge canvases. You can pay for your work to get framed. You can buy those $100 oil paints. You know, you can buy a new camera. All that comes from work. So art is a business, and it's not a business. We do it because we love it. But if we want to make a career out of it and we want to make something sustainable, we need to take it seriously. We need to have a process for what we do, and we need to have a process for outreach, for finding clients, for networking, for all that stuff that we've covered. Okay? 3 ideas, and then what I might do is I'm going to pause for some Q&A, and then we'll come back for the last bit. Yes, okay, I think we'll do that. When you're thinking about this, if you want to take away something really practical, oh my goodness, why not been I'm sharing my screen? Sorry. Inbound, outbound, and organic. This is one idea I want to share with you all. When it comes to finding clients, there's going to be 3 ways that clients are going to come to you. And this is what you should be considering if you're going, well, what am I going to do to find them clients? Some work is going to be coming in inbound. Okay, so what are some things you could do to get work coming into you? Well, you could post content. You could share your work online. You could promote your work on sites like Dribbble, Behance. I can never spell Dribbble. You know, you could essentially do marketing. And by doing that, work will come to you. You use hashtags, do reels, all that stuff. However you promote your work, that will create new opportunities for you. So it should be that way. You're going to get work coming in organically. And that is, I set that apart from like inbound, because inbound is more like you can somewhat control that by the amount of activities you're doing. If that's selling a product, if that's wall art, if that's clothes, inbound opportunities come from promoting your work and doing marketing and creating interest. Organic is all word of mouth. That's really kind of what you can't control. That's for, in a way, your brand, people talking about you in the market and work coming into you. So that's fine. We get that work from just doing good work and being out in the market and networking. The last one is what most people don't do, which is outbound. Now, this is going like, who is my end user? Is that a publisher? Is that a business owner? Whoever that is, that a tech startup? You know, who is that person? And can I go to them directly and either make them an offer, see if they're interested in having a conversation, or just bring them into my network as someone to nurture, whether that be via your content, or if you have an email list, or if you just unfollow them and they follow you back, for example. Now, everybody's going to have a different way to do this, depending on what you're selling, right? But if you understand that there's only really 3 kind of categories, and this one you can't really kind of control as much. What you can control is being out there and promoting yourself. What you can control is understanding who's the end user, who's the person who's going to make a decision about me. Can I get in front of them early and build a relationship with them? Can I connect with them on LinkedIn? Can I follow with them on LinkedIn and engage with their content? If I understand this, then it keeps it relatively simple. But the problem is you all do different things. So what I would love to do is spend about 10 minutes now on Q&A. And what I'd love to know from each of you, if you have a question, and if you don't have one, that's fine. What's one question you have about finding clients for your product or service that you sell? We'll just put a minute on the clock. Please put that in the chat. What's one question? Because I know each of you is doing something different, right? So I want to make it really specific. What's one question you have? And we'll cover that in just a sec once that time is up. Here we go. Where's our music? What have we got here? Let's play a bit too funky. Sorry, everyone. Oh, that'll do. That's fine. At the end of the session, we can have some kind of cool music. That's cool. What's one question you have, everybody? If you don't have one, that's cool. And if you do, and we don't have time to answer it, that's cool. Make sure you note it down, because when you get to your mentoring, that's a question you should ask your mentor. What's the question there, Kate? I can see the comment, but what's the question on that, please? Team, I want to get into this while you're still typing. I hope it's actually, I'll give you a few more seconds. Well, I'm going to make a start. I know you're still typing, everyone, but I want to move forward because we're getting short on time. Kate, I'm just going to actually answer these because I don't think we have time to kind of do the back and forth just right now. Yes, yeah, they're completely different. You know, kind of part of your job if you're selling, so you're making clothes, yeah, and you're going to promote them on Instagram or something like that, right? Okay, so part of your job is to get people to follow you and to see your stuff. Not everyone who's going to follow you is going to be ready to buy from you straight away. Not everyone who's going to follow who follows you will see something they like straight away, but they might see something they kind of like and like your vibe and go, well, I'll follow her and I might buy something in future. So when you're selling a product like that, I think that's not my big area of expertise, but part of your job is nurture. So finding people and getting them to follow you and see your stuff, and then creating reasons for them to purchase, which could be things like offer posts. If you use Instagram, it could be every week you put an offer post of, hey, we have a new item, or we have a new thing that might be of interest to you. What I'm saying is, whatever that offer post looks like, you need to be going, okay, and part of my job is to bring them in, and then another part of my job is to say, hey, do you want this thing? So whatever your offer post looks like, that doesn't matter at this stage, but you need to offer people something. You know, it could be like every single Wednesday you promote a certain thing and say, we have one more of these, do you want it if you're a size 12, and blah blah blah. It's going to be perfect for you. Kind of answer your question, but yes, they're different, but really the idea is that people aren't always going to be ready for you. So your job is to bring them in, stage 1. Stage 2, nurture them and keep them around for when they are ready, and then make those offers regularly, because people will take action if you say to them, do you want this thing? More so, you know, than if it's just posting your stuff. If you say, hey, we have this thing, do you want it? You know? So I think it's something you probably kind of cover with your mentor, but that's a place to start. Roberta, I think there are kind of many ways to do that. I mean, you can by all means go in with your portfolio and just straight up be bold. My friend who runs a gallery, where he runs 3 galleries where I show my work. I talked to him about this, and he said, in his experience, gallery owners are much more open to showing your work if they know you. And and I'm representing you, by the way, if they know you and they understand a bit about you and they have a relationship with you. So he said for him, it's important to know his artists have a process, they're consistent with their work. They're not just doing one painting every 2 years or something. And they're consistent, but he knows them. So one of the ways it's worked for other wayfinders I know is number one, to go to openings regularly at the galleries you want to be shown at. But one of our wayfinders, it didn't actually kind of work out in the end because of external circumstances, but she got into a really good gallery up in Auckland, and she did that by going to openings at that gallery. So being seen and looking for opportunities to talk to the gallerist, but also by engaging with that gallery on Instagram, because remember, you want people to see your work. So if you can engage with someone, and say you see a gallery owner up in Auckland, we have like Lim Gallery, right? You see Lim Gallery, you would love to show there. If you can comment on their post or comment on their story, there's a high chance they might have a look at your, if the comment's interesting, have a look at your work. So approach them directly, go to openings, and lastly, just engage with them. It's such a simple idea, but engaging with your buyers and your customers on Instagram, it's like a big networking event. That's exactly what Instagram is like if you use it like that. You show up, you talk to people, and you look for opportunities. So I hope that makes sense. Janet, I think that's a really good question. I think that's a bigger one than we have time to answer. So I would say bring that one to your mentor, I would say. Stephen, yep, I understand that. How much time would you recommend on social media? Is it just trial and error? No, it's not. You need to work out what works for you. Some people say post every day. Some say post 2 posts a week. Some say post every day and then stories every day too. There's no right or wrong. Well, yes, there is. The right way is consistency. And in my experience, the right way is, if I know who my customer is, I need to promote my work to them. I need to post consistently. I need to show up consistently so the algorithm serves me. But I'm also, so the customer knows that I'm consistent. I have a process. In engagement, if you think half your social media time could be content creation, and the other half would be spent doing 2 things. Adding people who you think you could work with, and that's harder if you're selling to customers, but if it's not customers, is it gallery owners? Who are the gallery owners I want to see my work? I can follow all them. So half your time is going to be content, and then the second half is going to be connecting and finding good people to follow, so your audience is filled with the right people. And secondly, engaging with those people so you're building the relationships. There's a whole bunch more to it. I think people really kind of demonize social media, but really what it is it's a free tool to promote your work. So use it in any capacity. Just use it, okay? How to drive people to your social media channel? Well, I think it's hard. You can use hashtags. You can create content and reels that go viral. You can get influencers to promote your work if you know anybody who has an influence on your market. Can they share your work? You can do collaborations with other filmmakers who have a bigger following than you. Q&As about creating films. So many ways to do it. You can run paid ads to do it. But for most of us are getting started, it's just about, okay, I want to promote my work to the right, and this is from everybody here. If we understand that half our job, if we're using on social media, is to post content or post our work, and there could be finished paintings, it could be short reels of our short film, it could be pictures of our products, of our bonsai trees, of our whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever that is, half your job is content. But the problem is, if the wrong people are seeing that, then it's kind of it's a stressful exercise, because either you have no followers or you have the wrong followers, which is all friends, family, and whatever, which is still cool, but Your job is to get more of the right people into your audience. So how can you do that? Well, all those things I just outlined before, sorry, to you, Tristan, and there's a whole bunch more ways to do it. But if you want something simple, go, well, I can just follow them first. Okay, my audience is small, but if I follow them first and say it was I don't know who your people are for you, Tristan, but it just say it was another director you wanted to connect with, or a producer, or someone. It doesn't matter. Follow them first, and then all of a sudden you have 10 people who you're following who are all your ideal clients or people you could help you with, right? And you go, well, they aren't unfollowing me back, so that sucks. Well, you've got more likelihood for them to unfollow you back if you engage with them. And exactly like you said before, if you network with them. This is exactly how I grew and how I do grow my business. I understand who I want to work with. I follow these people. Half the time they don't unfollow me back until I am comment on their stuff, or I be genuine with them, or I send them a DM about their story and say that was a really cool thing you posted. You know, this is the way to grow your audience, but it starts with knowing who you want to target first. I hope that makes sense. Lucy, I think we'll come back to that because that's a big question as well. Team, I think if you didn't have your questions answered, I want to move forward because I only got a few minutes left. But make sure you bring those to the call with your mentor. And if you want, and you think it'll be useful, we can post those in the group, perhaps, Stu, I don't know, in the Facebook group, and get them answered. Really, really good questions, everyone. I'm sorry we don't have time to do them all. Let's come back to this presentation. I want to share a few more ideas on pricing, and we're going to finish up just on 12:30 for you all. Now, these are really good ideas, and I want you to take them in. They've all been good ideas so far. When you're selling your work, remember, this is a really important distinction, okay? The most frustrating thing is when someone thinks they're losing something by spending money with you. That's not where you want to be. If someone feels like they're losing money or they're putting some money into a hole, and if that's how you feel when they're spending money to work with you or to sell your thing or to buy your thing, then that's really not a good place to be. Even if they aren't making money from working with you, it's still the same principle. Price is what they pay, and the value is what they get, and the cost is what they avoid. If they buy your art, they're buying something. There's a reason they want to invest in your art. It's because it makes them feel good. It's because they want to show it to their friends. If they're buying your services, it helps them sell their magazine or sell their paper or sell their business. Value is what they get, and the cost is what they avoid. There's always a cost to not taking action, you know. And if you're selling art, what's the cost, you might say? I don't actually know what the cost is for that, but let's just say if you're selling a service, I know the answer to most things, I hope. You know, if they don't spend money with you, they won't move forward. Okay, it's like if you sell kind of marketing services, you know, like you do, Catherine, or used to work in that industry, right? People go, well, I don't want to spend the money on marketing, but the cost is they won't grow as a business, they won't grow as fast, they won't get as many customers, right? You need to understand that selling someone something, and this is perhaps a better idea from everybody, selling something is a positive thing. You have to have confidence in your work and say, this is a good thing. Someone's going to feel better if they buy my stuff. So I should not be afraid to sell it to them. I should not be afraid to move that process forward. If I'm a filmmaker, I should not be afraid to put my work in front of people for the fear of rejection or for the fear of them not liking it, because we understand that not everybody's going to be right for you. Not everybody's going to love your work. And that's not a bad thing, because if everybody loved your work, then it would be vanilla, right? If everybody in the world loved my artwork, I would be the most boring artist in the world. So we've got to understand that this is all par for the course, as it were. but selling someone something, getting them to pay to work with you, putting your work out there is a positive thing. When you're selling your work, if you sell it too cheaply, and this is a real quick story, if you sell it too cheaply, people can see it as a commodity. If you sell your artwork from $30 or $40 for an original, people see it as a commodity and they go, well, that's cool, but it can't be worth that much. If you're a graphic designer and you sell like a logo design for $300 or $50 even, people go, well, it's a throwaway thing because it's so cheap, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to be seen as a unique provider, you have to act that way. And there's a lot of factors in that. But when you're talking about pricing, oftentimes the more people pay, the more they pay attention and the better use they'll get out of working with you. It's like my dad would always buy the sunglasses from BP, always breaks them. He just buys another pair because they're only $20. He goes, it doesn't matter, I'll buy another pair later on. I said to him, we shouldn't buy you some Ray-Bans. He's like, I'll just lose them. And I said, I know you won't because you spent $300 on them. If you look too cheap, people will. It's like when you think about positioning when it comes to branding, if you look too cheap, people will see you as cheap. So we have to walk that fine line of going, I'm getting started, but I still can't be bottom of the barrel because there's no point I'm competing on price, right? I want to share with you 3 ideas for pricing. And I know we're coming to the end of the session, you're probably getting, I'm super tired. So I want to kind of make sure that we cover this off. There are a few ways you can kind of package your work. And if you're selling a service, this is kind of one thing. This is kind of like I'm covering a few different things. Some people charge them hourly plus profit. So they work out how many hours it takes them to complete a job. And they might say, well, it's 10 hours. And they decide, well, my hourly rate will be $100. So I could charge them $1,000 and that would cover my time. But then you can add a little bit on top and say, well, I could add an arbitrary number on top, which could be 20 or 30%, which would account for anything outside of scope and also account for the value that they're getting. Because remember, people aren't buying your time. They're buying what you create and what that means for them. If you're selling a service, I think it's really important to understand packages and understand that things should be priced on a project or a package as opposed to an hourly when you're doing a one-off job for a client. That makes it easier for the client to digest and also less chance for them to kind of pick it apart, and say, well, why does this take so long? Why is your hourly rate so much? So another thing I push with my clients is saying, make sure you have your services all packaged up. And if it's a bespoke project. Some people sell based on value. I'm not going to really kind of cover this today because I don't know that it's super relevant to you. So I'll save that for another day. But if you're unsure about selling your work, what I often do is I just ask my gallerist, I say, how much do you think I should sell this for? They know often kind of better than us how much people will pay for our work. So I'm getting advice from people who other artists, gallery owners, if you show at a gallery, can be a nice way to work out how much you can sell your paintings for. They will often know what it's worth. So, pricing is a big topic and everyone's doing something different. Those are a few ways to think about it. And like I said, if you're unsure about your pricing, this is something we can talk about in your mentoring if you're with me or with Karen or someone else, right? I'm not going to cover this because we've already kind of touched on that, but really what's the real value to the customer? People don't spend money if they don't have a reason. They'll spend money with you because they think it'll make their life better. It'll make them money. It'll elevate their status, make them feel better, give them a dopamine hit, right? So don't ever be afraid to put it out there in front of people. Here we go. Here's my lovely ghost. Team, we've done really well. There's a lot more we could talk about in pricing, and I think that's something we could do on our mentoring individually because everyone's different. You've done really well. What I would love to know, just to finish off. No, here we go. No, yes. I'll do this first just in case we run out of time. Last thing I want is just to recap for you all what we've covered. Big ideas, if you take them, nothing else away. Number 1, wear 3 hats. Wear 3 hats. I'm a creative. I am an entrepreneur or business owner. business owner, sorry, and I have to do some admin as well. Okay, that keeps it simple, and then it doesn't fall into the trap of going, admin and growth stuff's all the same stuff that I put off. When the money comes in is important. That's important, you know. So your cash flow is important to manage. If your bills are going out on the 20th, you got to make sure there's $1,000 in your account on the 20th, right? Visibility in the market is important for us all. We need to be seen. The more, and I've found this in my business, it takes time to get seen. And for a long time, you're posting content and nobody's looking, apart from your friends and family and people you know, and you go, man, I should just give up. The people who don't give up are the ones that keep growing. So if you don't get them feedback now, if you just started posting your artwork and you got them no followers, who cares? Everyone has no followers when they start. Just remember, your job is to build up your visibility, to get noticed in your market, and don't undervalue your work. We undervalue our work and then we get seen as a commodity. You're unique, and that's the thing. Like, the more you value yourself, the more you value the work you do, the more your clients and your customers will value you back, because it is the perceived value, or as Tristan said, implied value. It's the perceived value of what you do. We don't know how the customer sees us, so it's our job to show up and go, hey, I'm here, I'm worth something, buy my shit, pretty much. There you go, a bit of swearing for you to end the session. I would love to know, everybody, Janet, Catherine, Kate, Stephen, Jamie Lee, everybody, what's your best idea? Please put that into the chat while I sit here for just a moment and have a rest. We're going to finish up. I'm going to read through them. I just want to know what your best idea was and what's one thing, or if it's the same thing, that you're going to implement from today's session. Best idea or something you're going to implement. And I'll put on some music. I just want to make sure that something landed for you, that's all. Best idea, please. Oh, thanks, Catherine. I'm glad. Yep, it is. Awesome, everyone. Doing good. 44 seconds. Thanks, Bria. Yeah, I think the thing is that, you know, there's a lot to cover and your brain's probably all fried. So I think the point of this session is really just to kind of get you in the gear and in the mode for driving forward and making the most of Wayfind. This is such a great program. A lot of people, you know, kind of don't even bother to try and learn this stuff. You're here and you're going to make the most of it. So if you take away only from today some inspiration and some ideas, because inspiration doesn't last, you know that, it comes and goes. So take away the ideas from today. Make sure that when you get to your mentoring, you talk to your mentor and you say, here's what I want to do. How do you think I could do this? And they'll be able to give you something really practical. But I can tell you, just based on a couple of your comments, I know quite a few, I know heaps of mentees I work with have gotten results from this. One springs to mind, who got his first ever gallery show, doing exactly what I told you just to do. Go to exhibitions, engage with the galleries up in Auckland he wanted to show at. He found one he really wanted to show at. He chatted them a little bit. They said, we would love you to submit a proposal for a show. He got the show, and that was his first show. He's just a young guy, really great artist. So all the stuff works. You've just got to do it. And exactly, if I leave you with kind of one final thought, and thank you for all the great comments here. Oh, thanks, Stephen. I didn't even have one good idea for you. I'm just joking. You can learn anything, you know, like you've learned to become artists and you're learning your craft. It's the whole thing of having the growth mindset. You can learn anything if you want to, but you've just got to put in the work. So there we go. Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Cool. I'll hand over to Jude then. Was that you, Jude? Yeah, it was you, eh?
Yeah, thanks,
Cool.
Hayden. Just a couple of final comments from me. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Karen for also joining us today. Karen is Karen is another one of our mentors as well. So nice to see you, Karen. Thank you for joining us. Massive thank you, Hayden. I always learn something from your workshops, and I've sat through a few now. So yeah. Actually, it's after the workshop that really does sort of resonate with me, and once I've sort of think about it and mull it over. So I just want to remind everyone to, lean back into your PDP, go back to the worksheet that relates to this particular workshop, and just so maybe think about the questions that we've suggested you reflect on. So any profound thoughts or anything that you want your mentors to be aware of. Hayden mentioned quite nicely during the course of the workshop some things the mentors could talk with you all about or focus on. This is the best way of capturing it. Write it down in your PDP, because don't forget they'll be reading it before they meet you. But I think Catherine's also going to pop a little reminder on the Google Classroom and also on WhatsApp potentially, depending on how you guys like to communicate. If you want to keep talking about specific questions that have been raised today, do. I mean, you guys are all you can learn from each other as well. So yeah, just really encouraging you to keep in dialogue. So whatever works for you, Google or WhatsApp, but please don't forget your PDP. But yeah, on that, I just wanted to say thank you very much, and actually just ask Catherine Catherine George, if she would like to close for us, because that might be a lovely way of bookending for us.
Very happy to, and I just want to thank you so much, Hayden, because I have been taking quite a few notes, and I don't normally write on paper, and so I've already divided up my white sheet in threes and have been jotting down. So I really
good.
got away from this. Thank you so much.
Good.
And to our Wayfinders, it's great that we were talking about social media, because on Monday we've got our workshop with Lewis, who on social media, and so that's going to be in person at Paretoi, Monday 10 a.m. till 12:30. So it'll be another. So it's great timing to be able to following this session to get straight to that topic in more depth. So let's close the space, and so we can go off and either sort of put more ideas down into our PDP or go and have a breather and something to eat. So me kara kia tātou. Tā kēna te toi nuku, te toi rangi, te toi mataora, kia wātia, kia māma, kia marama, tuku. Have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll see you either on the channels, so many channels, or on Monday.
Thanks, everyone.